All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I promised, we have come to the final, yet a very, very powerful session. The panel discussion of the day based on the trust imperative, reimagining quality engineering for an AI-first future. Well, spearheading the session is the chief orchestrator of the QE Conclave. Well, he is a visionary marketing leader with over 26 years of experience in scaling global tech products and services brands. His work has shaped how technology businesses differentiate, scale, and build trust in rapidly evolving markets. As the head of marketing at Qualizeel, he drives transformative strategies that elevate brand visibility, foster customers for life, and deliver hypergrowth. A distinguished alumni of ISB, ex-IMB, and BITS Pilani, he is a champion of storytelling and a mentor to world-class teams, shaping the future of technology, innovation, and marketing excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, spearheading this conversation and making his way on stage is Mr. Anurup Gaurav, AVP and Head of Marketing, Qualizeel.
A very warm evening to each one of you, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the most awaited session of QE Conclave. And what an evening it has been. We heard Ankit, we heard Madhu, we heard Jyoti, we heard Avinash, Browser Stack, and all of them. And I met somebody, a young man, who is maybe in the very first years of his career, and something he said resonated with me very well. He said, in the age of AI, we are all learners. So it doesn't matter whether you have 30 years of experience, 40 years of experience, or 1 year of experience. We need to navigate this journey in the best possible way as learners. So with that spirit, I would like to take the opportunity to invite to the stage the esteemed panel for the evening. Starting with Mr. Jitendra Putcha. Mr. Jitendra Putcha, my pardon. Please welcome Mr. Jitendra Putcha, Chief Delivery Officer, Mastech Digital, and a seasoned transformation leader shaping enterprise outcomes through AI, data, and digital innovation. With 27 years of global experience, he has guided organizations through major transformation journeys and scaled delivery operations across LTI Mindtree, Cognizant, Wipro, and DSQ. Actively involved with industry bodies and NGOs, he is committed to building sustainable businesses, nurturing strong ecosystems, and mentoring leaders of tomorrow. Can I have a strong round of applause for Mr. Jitendra, please? May I now have the pleasure of welcoming on stage Kavita Bhanwadia. Please welcome Kavita Bhanwadia, Head of Platform Engineering at Broadridge. Welcome, Kavita. A driving force in digital innovation and the technology leader spearheading the company's AI and blockchain transformation. With over 21 years of IT and deep expertise across BFSI, she leads platforms that power tokenization, data analytics, and intelligent automation, while championing cost-effective architecture, high-performing global teams, and the next wave of AI/ML-driven solutions that deliver real business impact. Beyond her technical leadership, Kavita is deeply committed to mentoring emerging talent and uplifting women in technology, shaping stronger and more inclusive future for the industry. A loud round of applause, please. May I have the pleasure and privilege to welcome on stage the brain, the heart, and the soul of QE Conclave, Mr. Madhu Murty. I leave it at that. We all know who Madhu is. A very warm welcome, Madhu, to the stage. And may I now have the pleasure of welcoming Ms. Jyoti Rai, Managing Director, Technology, Southwest Airlines, to the stage, please. As you are all aware, Jyoti has flown in from Dallas, Texas, exclusively to attend, be a speaker at this event. Much appreciated, Jyoti. Thank you so much. Again, I'm keeping your intro brief. All right. And I would like to take the opportunity to invite next Mr. Shiva Kumar RV. Please welcome Shiva Kumar RV, founder of Platform Builds and a mission-driven builder shaping the future of sovereign AI and population-scale platforms. After playing a pivotal role in architecting India's largest digital payments infrastructure at NPCI, and with deep expertise in population-scale systems, cloud-native architectures, and resilient infrastructure, Shiva is redefining how nations, enterprises, and developers build the next generation of digital platforms. Passionate about empowering developers, he now leads a global movement to transform the future of platform engineering. A very warm welcome, Shiva, to the stage. All right. The stage is set for the most awaited session of the evening. It is a pleasure and privilege to be moderating this session. I have been associated with QE Conclave for the last 3 editions. This is the 3rd edition. And every time, there is a mood. There is an overarching mood in the hall. There is a theme. In 2023, when we started QE Conclave, everybody talked about AI is coming. GenAI is coming. That was the prevalent mood. 2024, last year, AI had made the landfall. 2025, at this point, referring to Madhu's slide a few minutes ago, AI is everywhere. It is, though not new, AI is not new. We are in the 5th generation of AI. However, something happened in November 2022. And that was an inflection point in the journey of AI, and ChatGPT was launched, GPT 3.5. And that was an inflection point, and everything after that changed. It was like we entered a new world. It is like there is a new species, maybe superior to us, who is amongst us. And everybody is figuring out now how to coexist peacefully and synergistically with that. So with that as context, I would like to now take the panel to the next stage. We'll start with the word AI panel, because that is something that is kind of common to all the sessions that we have had. And as you are all aware, the world is changing as we speak about AI. Just to quote a couple of statistics, for the first time in the history of the United States and the world, the US is spending more on constructing data centers than constructing offices. And we are spending trillions of dollars in AI every time. That said, we are coming back to a specific question year after year. It was there 2 years ago, it was there a year ago, and it is here now too. A couple of weeks ago, Sundar Pichai, he brought it up again. He said AI is a bubble. He is the same person who has said AI is more profound than fire, electricity, or the internet. So, Madhu, I would take the opportunity to ask you this. Can you please, from your vantage point of looking at AI, tell us, how do you see it? Is it a bubble? It is not a bubble? Or is the answer more nuanced than that?
So, as far as I'm concerned, I think AI is the most powerful, by far, the most powerful general purpose technology humanity has built. As a general purpose technology, it will change many things in the world, especially how work will be done. Now, this bubble, I think, as a technology, I think no longer it's a bubble. Okay, we'll figure out initially, because it is throwing up different types of problems during usage. We will learn, and a lot of companies, intelligent people will solve that and transform the way work is being done. And I think enterprises will leverage it, and they will provide much better customer experience than they're able to do with right now whatever technology. Now this bubble, maybe from a financial angle, if you look at it, yes, there is huge investments are happening, as you said, data centers, infrastructures, GPUs, and some kind of this, some people call GPU land grab. These are the kind of things creating a little bit of issues financially, again, the stock markets and all. So I think those bubbles will be there, they will burst, some people will survive, all those things will happen. But the QE community here, this is a general purpose technology which will make QE really efficient, and also with the generative AI applications coming and occupying all the enterprise space, there is a lot of high quality testing by humans will be needed. So I think it's, I don't fully agree to that hype. It is really a solid general purpose technology.
All right. Thank you, Madhu, for that powerful perspective. Anybody on the panel would like to have a take on that? Yeah, we can take maybe one or two opinions there. Yep.
Yeah. So Madhu, thank you for that opinion. I tend to agree with you. We have started somewhere, and we learn from our experiences. And that's exactly what's going on, right? There are statistics out there, 90% of the AI projects become a failure, but let's focus on that 10% that are succeeding, right? And that's where, that's the human nature. Let's continue to try until we succeed, and we are going to see that. And our disciplines are going to morph, and that's what's happening with the QE landscape as well. It's going to morph and adapt to the changing world. Well said.
Thank you. Anybody?
Yeah, sure, Kavita, please.
So, I think, audible? Yeah. So
Yes.
AI is real. It's not fad. The thing is, if you really look at the foundation through which it's been created, it's a beautiful combination of science, biology, and technology, right? How it's been created is understanding the human brain, understanding how human thinks, and converting into a technology. Because that's the very foundation of AI, right? So I personally believe it's a strong foundation, so it's not going to go. But what's going to happen in future is, like we have seen with cloud as well. There was a rush to move to cloud. A lot of people are coming back from cloud to on-prem as well. Today, there is a rush to use AI anywhere and everywhere. Over the period of time, people will figure out the use cases, right? Where they should really use AI, where you should use automation, and where you should really not use the AI because it's not the right use case. I think we are still in that flux in terms of figuring it out, where, what, and how to use it. I think that is what would define the world probably in coming years.
Thank you, Kavita. Okay, if I may. So yeah, again, I mean, thank you so much for the powerful perspectives. I think Sundar Pichai, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates agree with what you just said. So the difference between a technology bubble and a financial bubble. So we have had examples in the past. For example, the internet was a bubble of a technology nature, and when the dust settled, the world had changed. Similarly, there was a medical bubble which gave us a lot of life-saving drugs. But there was also a 2008 financial bubble, which was not the kind of bubble that we would like. So I think we are all in agreement, the panel is in agreement, I understand that it is not a financial bubble, it may be a technology bubble. There might be companies who get decimated at the end of this, when the dust settles, but the world would be a better place, a different place when that happens. With that said, I think Jyoti brought up a very interesting point. She referred to the AI adoption, the pilot to production journey. So according to a recently released MIT report that was released in 2025 July, only 5% of organizations are actually seeing real value. So only 5% of pilots are moving into production when it comes to AI. And that means 95% of orgs are getting zero return with minimal P&L impact. That is not because they are not ambitious. That is not because there is no investment. The reason is different. There is investment. There is ambition. In fact, 30 to 40 billion USD enterprise investment has already gone into GenAI. But in spite of that, there are some core barriers to scaling. So I would like to pick up from where you left off, Jyoti, and I would maybe invite Jit. Jit, from your vantage point of looking at the industry, could you please let us know if AI is new electricity as it was promised by Andrew Ng some time ago, or is it still a very expensive decorative lamp in the boardroom? Or to rephrase my question, why is enterprise AI so brutally hard to scale? And what separates the 5% winners from the 95% laggards?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I hope I'm audible. I think in last few weeks, there is no forum without talking about this 95% report. I know probably, I would say this is probably one of the most misunderstood report. People caught hold of that 95% part and miss the rest of the report in terms of what the report was talking about. But I think the problem is real. If people invested $30–40 billion, which you're talking about, did we get all the return on investment for those pieces? The answer is no. I think the question is about what are we looking at from these pilots and what are we thinking about, right? As soon as everyone started thinking about GenAI and agentic AI, people started throwing some tool and expecting some magical responses. And actually, AI is a magic. I think Kavita touched upon, it's actually a combination of biology, math, science, and all the pieces coming together. It's a magic. But even that magical thing can only happen if you're able to start using in the right manner. I mean, think about computer systems or whatever. I think recently somebody talked about. We are confused with programming, computer system, testing, and all these pieces and mixing up. I think we need to go back to the systems thinking, system engineering approach kind of a thing. I think quality engineering is one of the things. What I mean by that is we can't do a bits and pieces and expect suddenly a magical results in the end-to-end process of this. I think if you look at the 95% people which talked about in this report, they looked at solving a bits and pieces of applying that AI in some portion. But unfortunately, fortunately, enterprises are actually massive. They built over decades of time with a significant infrastructure, significant interfaces, integrations, and a lot of other pieces. You will only get the best results if you're able to actually reimagine, or if you're able to go back to your entire system engineering thinking. That's where it is. Now look at the other portion of it. A lot of people started looking as soon as the technology came, buying the best model and building an interfaces, and that's it. That's the best way to get it. But unfortunately, that's not way you can get the best results out of it. Now let's look at the other side of it. The 5%, the so-called successful people, did they buy the best model? Did they have the best talent? Is it the reason? The answer is no. Yeah, maybe they had a best model, best talent. But the reason for they were able to go back to is about they went back to the drawing board to look at it. How do I reimagine the whole thing? How do I start looking at these pieces? Which includes you need to have a frameworks, you need to have a guardrails, you need to have an integration, you need to have a systematic approach, you need to have not just the testing frameworks, you have an end-to-end evaluation frameworks. How these evaluation frameworks in the real time will take care of it. I think that's the biggest difference. These 5% people are able to do that. I would go back to what Mr. Madhu talked about. I think it became a general purpose technology, and we talked about electricity or atomic power and cloud, all the other pieces. But what is the difference at this point of time is, imagine we are building a skyscraper or an autonomous car. Suddenly we pick up some bricks and cement and start building without having the proper foundation. and you start blaming those raw materials are the reason for it. Today it's like that. AI is getting blamed, and it's nothing to blame AI. It's just the question of we are not bringing end-to-end at systems thinking to solve the problem. I think once we do that, that 95% may reverse in terms of a 95% will be success instead of the 5%. That's my view.
Thank you so much, Jit, for that insightful perspective. In the spirit of the quiz that Melanie did a few minutes ago, I would like to ask one question to the audience. Can you guess how many people are there in this room right now? Somebody said 800? Okay, close to 900, according to my last knowledge. It might have increased in the meantime. Can you guess how many companies, how many unique companies are there in this hall right now? Somebody says 100. 100? The number of unique companies who are present in this room right now is more than 400. And I think what Jit just said would have resonated with a lot of you, in the audience. So AI is powerful, but there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to realize value out of it. So with that, we'll move to the next question, a very interesting one. And we also have a very interesting person amongst us. The short introduction that I gave did not do justice to the profile of the man. So I'll just go under the hood a little bit. So Shiva, he is currently in the process of building something called Platform Builds. And it builds sovereign AI platforms at population scale, at nation scale. And before Platform Builds, Shiva was with NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India, and NPCI, as everybody knows, builds and operates India's retail digital infrastructure. So who in this room doesn't know what UPI is, what RuPay is, what IMPS is, what FASTag is, what Vim is? And each of these are being used by millions and billions of people on a daily basis. So here's the man. So my question to you, Shiva, based on your experience of building mission-critical AI platforms at population scale, at NPCI and Platform Builds, how do you define trust? That will be interesting. We saw in Madhu's demo, how trust might be defined for a specific context. We would love to understand, at that scale, how would you define trust that millions depend on a daily basis? And what does it take to actually engineer that trust in practice? Please share your perspective.
Thank you. Those are big words, kind words. Thank you. In fact, the growth of this country, growth of UPI, growth of NPCI is because of you all. Thanks for the love. Thanks for trusting us. Thanks for the trust and the love that was showered, that has been showered, that continues to. I'm sure the organization and the institution continues to do well. And thank you for this opportunity, for inviting me here. So first thing first, before I jump into answering the question, I'd like to explain why I chose to start up of my own while I was having a comfortable life at NPCI, right, for half a decade close to. And my team and me were the ones who were responsible to entirely redesign the entire architecture for UPI and all the products, and including our own data centers. Now, one of the major things that we faced, this is, I don't know, will it be funny or not to say this, but how many of you have been in the war rooms facing outages here? Okay. How many of you operate out of data centers? Not public clouds. Data centers? All right. Can you imagine a world where there is no API to orchestrate your infrastructure? Like AWS, Azure, GCP, they give you the APIs to orchestrate. But here, we are talking with bare metals, and we're talking population scale, right? So trust is something that has to be imbibed not just because of AI, but actually anything and everything we build, right? And think of today not having UPI touchwood for even 2 minutes, it's going to be chaotic, right? And in my last stint at NPCI, it was building the AI platforms. So the first 4 years, my responsibility was to build the platform and then empower that platform with AI. So the fundamental challenge that we face, not just NPCI, but the entire banking industry, or you take defense, these are all regulated industries. We cannot connect anything and everything to internet. It's by default barred for us, which means we need to bring in the power of AI into our own data centers and then make use of these models. So obviously those paid models like the Claude, which is Anthropic, or any other model which is paid, we cannot bring them on-prem. So we have to depend on open source models. So fundamentally, we created, like the way when we designed a platform, we created a rule book. And the first rule of the book says, AI has to be boring. It cannot excite us. It cannot be a box of surprises. So fundamentally, I think Mr. Challa was saying, with the increase in the number of parameters, the intelligence is growing. Yeah, when you talk to a lot of intellects, definitely it's a bouncer for me. It goes just bounces away, right? That's what exactly even these AI models do. Now, are you okay if you send 1,000 rupees and you get a receipt of 100 rupees? Okay, seems like it's okay with you guys. I am not okay. I was just expecting a response there, but yes, no one likes surprises in the payments ecosystem. At least I don't. I want my money to go in a very safe way, right? So we want AI systems, but we want them in a very predictable way, right? And then comes the next one. AI, okay, great buzzword. Forget about AI. I love mathematics. End of the day, there's a confidence score. And I think one of the freshers said, even I'm a fresher today with AI, I also agree, it is probability. It is a confidence score is nothing but probability. Please correct me, I am still learning AI. I'm a old school platform guy, a hardware guy, right? So it's all math, and that probability will increase, or the accuracy will increase only if the data is clean, right? So the second ingredient we put in onto the table, what are we training in a contextual way, or what is the knowledge base that we are feeding to the AI model? The next one is, today we are seeing a very fast, I think it's a race. I find it to be like a rabbit race, or what do you want to call it? It's like everyone is behind creating models. There are so many models coming in. Everything is good at reasoning, everything is good at math, everything is good at coding. Ask it to come and play my PS with me. Let's see if it can beat me. But net, the race of these AI models are actually creating the fundamental question, how trustable are they, right? Again, remember the first rule, it has to be boring. I can't have surprises on payments, right? But we cannot lose out on the intelligence. We'll have a FOMO, fear of missing out, saying like, hey, I want to use that new model for sure. It sounds crazy. So how do we balance that? Bring in versioning. So version control. So just like software in QE, what do? We actually bring in a shadow model. We go with an AB, or we go with a blue-green deployment. We gain the confidence on, the new build. I think the developer is still goofed up. I am the smartest kid being the QA. Is definitely my role when I was a QA in my life, right? So obviously the trust index will only build over a period of time, but we cannot miss out on latest features. So version control, very, very important. Like the way we do shadow models for learning, even for inferencing, use different models, and for the same model, use different versions and have a safe failback, right? So create an inferencing engine in such a way that you call the API, the end user need not know that something just goofed up in the background. If you're able to handle it in a smooth way, error handling, exception handling, the fundamental software development concepts kick in. Then, how many of you have used the Raptor Mini here? Raptor Mini, the latest one, it's running in preview mode, zero cost, GitHub Copilot, go grab it yourself, it's coming for free. If you're coding, try Raptor for reasoning. You know what is the best part about Raptor? It gives a lot of verbose output, which means it's kind of actually telling me when I'm trying to solve a problem statement or when I'm trying to write my code. And when I am actually doing vibe coding with Raptor, Raptor is very verbose. It's like this radio jockeys. It's continuously feeding me back how it is arriving to this particular conclusion, right? So I did a small experiment. What I did, to my custom VS Code plugin, I actually started redirecting that data into my own small Docker container to see how is this model more superior, how is this able to do my bug finding in my code, and how am I able to fix it better. Which means verbosity. Don't ignore the verbosity. Have very good observability. Try to understand how a particular model is arriving to a specific conclusion to that particular score. That will help you probably tune the next prompt for it to be a lot better way, right? Last thing is human touch. Look, there was a time where people said unmanned aircrafts, right? That never happened. Yeah, there are co-pilots, there are assisted flight panels, but net manned aircrafts are still trusted. So AI can never beat humans, but if we can give the human touch, don't blindly deploy your models and start running in production. We find it to be risky. Rather, like the way regenerative learning works, have a way to do some kind of sampling, some kind of human touch to it. Right? This way, the trust on AI can be increased and the output will be far more predictable without missing on the latest technologies, right? So net, I personally call with these fundamental wirings in place, instead of calling it artificial intelligence, I will say it is accelerating intelligence. And these models are actually helping us move faster, accelerate our outputs, and with the proper governance and trust index, with the right kind of guardrails or whatever you want to call the jargons, whatever you want to throw, I think AI is here to stay. It's going to take us longer ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shiva, for that perspective. Now, what we got in 3 to 4 minutes from Shiva in a distilled format is the foundation on which some of the nation's largest retail digital payment infrastructures are built. So thank you so much, Shiva, for sharing your perspective on that.
Sure. I'd like to just take 30 seconds.
Yep.
So one of the main problem statements that we solved in NPCI is, look, when you are in a war room, right, there is always a pass the buck game. The application dev will say, look, there is a problem in the network guy will say there's a problem on server, the server guy will say, look, I don't know, the software is acting up. How do we solve that? So the pass the buck game, right? So we actually brought in observability and we plugged in AI at a later stage. And what we typically did is we brought in all the tech metrics and all the business metrics also, and we created something called impact to causation. And what we did with impact to causation, whatever the cause is, the impact is seen on metrics, on business metrics, right? It's my operations person who takes the hit. He or she is the one who's actually facing the banks and the country, right? So that's where exactly we use it. We use the same principles, and today I think the root cause analysis in NPCI today goes by the 5I rule. Let it be UPI, IMPS, APS, RuPay, NFS, BPG, NTS, CTS, or the latest CBDC, any stack you take it. It's all running by the 5I rule, and again it is air-gapped, open source models with the proper guardrails and these fundamental principles actually.
All right. Again, very powerful insights, Shiva. Thank you so much for that. So from one industry veteran, we'll now turn our attention to another. You have already seen her in the morning. Jyoti Rai, I'm coming to you next. I would love for you to add some more color to some of the things that you discussed in your keynote session in the morning. More specifically, to paint the picture, in the aviation industry, and this is an industry where safety, reliability, and these are non-negotiable. Any small mistake can do chaos, right? I mean, who better understands that than you? And you also referred to the fact that Southwest Airlines has recently undergone a major transformation, an ambitious modernization transformation in the entire aviation industry. I still remember the point that where you said mainframes is still fresh in my mind, and these are some of the industries that are in need for transformations, right? And here is an example of a very successful transformation happening at one of the largest aviation companies in the whole world. That's not a small feat. Modernizing at scale is hard enough, but doing it without disrupting your existing systems is magic. How did you do that, Jyoti? Can you please add a little more color? Or to rephrase my question, what are the biggest lessons from the transformation for organizations trying to adopt AI responsibly from the Southwest transformation example, and without breaking what already works? So if you could let us know, and by us I mean the people who are in the audience, and I'm one of them because I'm representing them on stage. So if you could please let us know how you did it at Southwest, I think that'll be an eye-opener for all of us.
Absolutely. The short answer is magic. But coming to the reality, it was no short than magic, of course, right? It started out with building a strong foundation. And when I say building out a strong foundation, what I mean by that is the people. The people of your organization are either going to make you or break you. So it was building out that strong foundation. And again, I'm very thankful to Qualazeel on that.
And if I may interject for a second here,
Sure.
I still remember the sentence when you said in the keynote that you not only trained your people, you empowered them. And there is a big difference between the two.
There is a big difference. While training is important, what's even more important is the empowerment of the people. It's your people that know the problem, and it's your people that know the solution to the problem. So starting out with that strong foundation, that empowerment of people that understand the problem, and they are going to solve it for you. They knew what the problem is. We needed to modernize. We needed to do something about it. We needed to cut our cycle time down in delivering our products. So building out that vision and then a strategy to execute that vision was with the people in the room. How are we going to do it? They know the ins and outs, what's going to make us, what's going to break us, and building that roadmap for cloud modernization, those automated CI/CD pipelines, adoption of AI, which really sped up the development. And I'm going to quote a very conservative number here. Just this past year, we have been able to go 30% faster. I don't want to get too optimistic, but I have seen examples of where we are delivering even more than that. So it was a change brought about by the people for themselves. Nobody wants to do firefighting, and so it was the buy-in of that. So it starts with the culture, changing that culture, changing that mindset, trusting your people, and investing in continuous improvement.
Very, very profound. Very profound. Can we have a round of claps for Jyoti and Southwest? Again, what we are hearing in distilled format from the esteemed dignitaries present on the stage is life's work. A lot of insights, a lot of research, a lot of execution has gone into making these possible on the ground. So again, thank you so much, panel, for sharing your perspectives. We heard from two industry veterans, and now we are going to move to the third industry veteran amongst us, and that is none other than Kavita. Kavita, you come from worlds where trust is not a nice to have, it is oxygen. By that, I mean you have worked in highly regulated, security critical industries. Your current organization, Broadridge, in fintech and capital markets infrastructure. Your previous organizations, Berkeley, for example, global banking and financial services. These are industries where trust, compliance, reliability, and governance are non-negotiable. So here's the question. In banking and capital markets and fintech, trust is not optional. How do you build AI systems that stay transparent, auditable, and compliant at an enterprise scale, and without slowing innovation to a crawl?
So I'll actually take this in 3 points. So point number 1 is it's a highly regulated environment.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Is everybody able to hear us? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, see, regulation is not changing. It is about thinking, how do we leverage AI best to its capability that we are able to still enact that regulation, right? What it means is, whenever we do anything with AI, we need auditability. We need to produce those compliance level documentation which is still required. And how do we do that, right? Every organization has different policies. They work for different regulators, and hence the regulation changes. You build that as a layer which will actually check for compliance, check for data leakage before passing it on to the open AI models, right? That's the one way to do it. And that's how most of the banking and the financial industries are doing it at this point in time, right? Second thing is, these industries are there for 200 years, 300 years, 100 years. So there's a lot of legacy which sits there. Like Jyoti said, right? Systems are legacy. It's mainframe. You would see the version of Java 8 on which systems are running. You would see the version of COBOL which is which is unsupported, correct? These AI tools comes very, very handy, right? In terms of doing those tech debt remediation and help in the modernization. Very handy. Things which used to happen for 2 years, 3 years, you will see now is actually happening in 8 months, 9 months, and that too fairly with lot of confidence. That is the pace it has actually accelerated. Third thing is, I firmly believe the world which will come, which we'll see in next 4 to 5 years, is going to be the world of orchestration, wherein all of us would actually act as an orchestrator and we would be having digital workers, right? So future belongs to people who actually, we saw a lot of things about workflows and agentic AI and everything. So it's more about orchestrating work towards the goal and how do you make those digital workers, right, work to your benefit, okay? That's going to be the next upcoming thing. Fourth thing which I feel which industry has not explored as much as they should have explored is blockchain is still quite underrated. Now what blockchain gives you is immutability, it gives you auditability, it gives you trust, which AI lacks, right? I think my suggestion to most of the product organization and entrepreneurs would be to have blockchain along with AI. It will actually build a system which will provide you trust and power of AI, right, which we can harness with a lot of trust. And I would seem to think that is what will give this banking industry and finance industry a lot more, right, use cases than where they are today.
You read my mind, Kavita. I mean, thank you so much again. Before I get into that aspect, thank you so much again for sharing your distilled perspectives, coming from somebody like you who has spent so many years in the industry that you have, such regulated industry. So very insightful for the audience. But you did read my mind, because the next question that I had on my note was, and I'll just read it out. You have beautifully answered it, but for the benefit of the audience, I'll just read it out. You sit at the intersection of AI and blockchain. What happens to trust when AI, which is probabilistic, which is uncertain, meets blockchain, which is immutable? And you have already answered it. So thank you so much, Kavita, for that perspective. When Shiva was referring to the architectural principles, he used a word called data. And for people who are familiar with AI, they know how important data is. AI cannot exist without data. There have been many quotes about the intersection of AI and data. So there is no one better to answer a question on data amongst us than Jit, who is a veteran in the data and analytics side of the industry. So Jit, I'm coming to you with the next question. So DJ Patil, he was the former US chief data scientist. He said, and he has many quotes to his credit, if you don't trust your data, you can't trust your AI. I think we all agree. AI is only as smart or as honest as the data pipelines behind it. You, Jit, have led massive data and AI transformations across Europe, North America, and APAC. You have seen the glamorous AI demos, and you have also seen the messy back-end plumbing that actually makes or breaks those demos in production. So let me ask you this. AI systems are only as trustworthy as the data pipelines behind them. How should organizations rethink data quality, lineage, and governance to ensure reliable and responsible AI at scale? We would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, thank you. It's been actually one of the most important topic everyone keeps debating about. I think it's very commonly heard about your AI is as good as data. I'm a movie buff. Any of you watched on Netflix a short movie called Human in the Loop? Any of you watch? It's actually about, the movie talks about, generating the rural BPO kind of a data centers which are doing data labeling, annotation, which actually generates very interesting images. It talks about Indian tribal woman kind of a thing, and suddenly it just pops up a Western world kind of a different features and all that, and then start realizing about what's the value of the right data to generate the right output, right? I think it's actually brilliantly depicted in a simple manner. Now, coming back to the original question you're talking about, I think most of the people like me and who are in the industry for long enough, we made money thanks to the regulated industries. We made significant money to continue to demonstrate data quality, whether it's talking about in the financial industries, about compliances, regulatory. And by the way, it's all must and mandatory, because we just now heard about, are you okay to let 100 rupees go? None of us wants to do that, and banks are expected to drive that. So keeping that in mind, data quality, governance, and lineage has been actually a biggest and most important thing for organizations to drive, and whether it's a healthcare or insurance and banks, and government's also been very, very critical about it. But what is fundamentally changed? I know every organization keep talking about it, but at the same time, when you go to the business keep cribbing about, it's a piece of crap I'm getting, I don't know why I'm investing millions of dollars for this kind of a thing. And then we keep talking about it's a 95% accurate, 96% accurate. And somebody told me many, many years back, one of the large manufacturing company, there is only 0 or 1. I don't understand what is this 95% accuracy in a data quality. Whether the machine works or machine doesn't work. So I think from there is a lots of progress happened in last few decades, thanks to the advancements in RDBMS and other thing. We started building capabilities of data, what is data quality, what is the data governance, and what is the lineage, why it is important. And we also briefly talked about blockchain and others. But let's just think about what is the AI bringing to the flavor. I'm sure a few minutes back, I think somebody talked about Andrew Ng, and I think he also talked about the biggest value we need to start looking from AI is not, again, go back to the structured data. It's all about information buried in PDF files, videos, and Slack text, or Teams, etc., etc. I think how do you get that and start looking at the value out of it? And when you start thinking about, it's no longer sufficient for us to go back and look at it, how do we measure observability, how do you do quality, how do you do your governance? Technically, they're all meaningless. I mean, you can think about how to think quality assurance as XYZ, but that's not the way you think about in the new world of AI. So what does that mean? Maybe some people say it's a old wine in a new bottle, or maybe some people say it's a fundamental shift. I believe it's a fundamental shift. We no longer can do a unit testing or a quality assurance in a regular manner. Maybe we need to build an autonomous, or probably some kind of an autonomous judge kind of a thing, which will continue to validate in real time how the data quality is flowing. It's not about you come back with 8 principles or 10 rules which will define your quality and assurances. That's not going to happen. Because we're talking about these systems are going to do real-time reinforcement learning, but you need to have a parallel systems which are going to continue to monitor them and raise the red flags and continue to self-heal if required. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think people in this room who are building over the years the quality engineering capabilities and giving assurances and making sure as a stewards and assurance leaders and all, what's important is about how do we build such kind of an autonomous systems in real time and make sure the quality is not afterthought, but the quality or a governance or lineage is a continuous process. I also like a few minutes back when Shiva talked about, you no longer wait for a request and response kind of a thing. You in a real time look for a verbose, you real time look for how the quality and lineage is happening. I think that's what the world is moving into this. And we as a professionals, whether we are developers, engineers, testers, XYZ, have to start building the capabilities. Then only I think the lineage quality governance we're talking about will see the light. Because no longer data quality issue is about you have a null values or you have a bad values kind of a thing. It's also about you are getting the outdated document, are you having the right chunkings, are you looking at right evaluation frameworks. I think that's fundamentally shift into that is going to be a make or break.
Again, thank you so much, Jit, for that insightful perspective. Okay, just for the information of the audience, this panel discussion is split into two halves, not halves, two parts. So the first part is the panel discussion, and then there'll be a 10 to 15 minute duration where each of you can ask a question to the panel. So we are proceeding towards that. I'm left with only 2 to 3 questions, and then the floor will be open. So please keep your questions ready. We have a distinguished panel representing so many different industries. So it's a privilege to have such a panel on stage. So with that, I will come to you, Madhu, for your perspective on something which is immensely important. I think some of our earlier speakers in the day have already touched upon this. We are racing towards a world full of autonomous agents. But the uncomfortable truth is, AI doesn't just get things wrong, it gets them wrong confidently. And there have been umpteen examples of AI getting things wrong very, very confidently. Which brings us to the big question. In an AI-first world, how critical is human in the loop or on the loop? And just to make it more interesting, what is the nightmare scenario if we get that balance wrong?
According to me again, human in the loop or not having in the human in the loop, that aspect is non-negotiable. Human has to be in the loop. Because of whatever you said, okay, even if it is an autonomous agentic system, but we cannot keep humans out of the loop. So that can be extremely dangerous because of the whole probabilistic nature of AI outputs. So as long as we are clear about that, but still, with the intelligence that is available, we can make, like other day I was talking to one of our customers, because in Qualizil, we are a IT services company. So I keep telling, hey, go use generative AI, produce some work. Anyway, last year I was telling people, don't have any ego issue with generative AI, because last year that was the issue. People are telling, why should I do that? I am more intelligent than AI. So at least I think a lot of us have come out of that loop. No ego issues now. We want to use it. But when in the customer also, I told the same thing. Actually, he was addressing all of the Qualizil population, and he was also talking about AI, what his firm is doing right now. Then generally I keep on advising these people to learn AI, use in their work, but they don't use it. That's what I told him. Then he actually, again, I told why they don't use it, because AI doesn't produce any correct outputs. That is the reason with which they tell we don't use. But actually, the customer made a good comment. He told, we know it doesn't produce a correct output, but if it produces more than zero kind of help to you, better to use it. So I think with that in mind only, we have to use AI. There is a need for human in the loop. All the systems will insist on humans to approve, then only it will flow. So I think that is non-negotiable. Yeah.
All right, I see a lot of nods, including mine. So unless anybody has an opinion which is very different from what Madhu had, we'll move on. And Madhu, we are not letting you go. The next question is also coming to you. And also Kavita, to you. It is a question for both of you. And this is a question that everyone in this room wants secretly answered. But they have not told us yet. And this is one of the two questions that are most often asked when people ask questions about AI. The first question, is it going to take my job? The second question, will AI kill us? We'll leave the second question for another day. We'll focus on the first one, Madhu. I'll just state something that Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, said some time ago. He said AI could replace 40% jobs by 2030. So with that as context, and there are many other voices in the industry which have an opinion on this. You have been in the industry for 30 to 40 years, Madhu. You have seen
Don't
a lot
say
of...
40 years, they'll think I'm too old.
Okay. I take it back. So you have been around for a reasonably long amount of time, Madhu, to give a great answer to this. So what will AI do to jobs? What's going away? What's getting reinvented? What new roles are about to explode? And most importantly, how should professionals prepare right now so they're not caught off guard? So Madhu, your insights will be very helpful here.
Okay. So actually, I don't know the answer really, what happens, but what we are seeing in the IT services industry point of view, the model change is happening. So IT services over the many, many years, only one model worked very well. So no matter what is the problem, what is the solution, who is there, at the end there is only one question asked by customer. That is actually we talk about it as Shole's dialogue. Kitne aadmi? I think that kitne aadmi dialogue is going to change. Now the time and material kind of work will reduce. So does it mean actually people will lose jobs? That is the question actually, because I needed 20 people to do this work in 6 months. That is the estimates, and that is how SOWs are signed. So now SOWs are signed in a much more with the productivity built in. So with 5 people with AI assisted, we'll do it within 3 months. That kind of selling is happening. Now, does it mean we'll have to reduce headcounts? That is very important, and that question is being addressed by every IT services firm. In my opinion, AI-assisted service work will happen. Okay, so new kind of alternatives to time and material will emerge. Okay, reimagination of that model will happen. But in my opinion, what will happen? The world will need more work to be produced. So I don't think because people are able to produce using AI some work, there is no need for further work. So I think any firm which is able to increase volume of engagements, then actually still they will grow their revenues. Because IT service companies right now, we are struggling. So far, we have shown a growth based on headcount, but I think that model is shifting. So in my opinion, jobs will not go away. But again, for the people who are involved in this work, AI literacy is important. Okay. Typically in IT services companies, what happens? people are engaged in their work. They do hard work, 8 hours business as usual work they are doing. In that whole process, they are not noticing what is happening. So they must be careful. They have to really take some time and spend some effort to understand what is happening and build those newer skills, because they will make you extremely productive. So that is what people must do, in my opinion. If you are caught up in your day-to-day hard work, your customers are praising you, your managers are praising you, doing whatever work we are doing, then you may be in danger. That's what I want to, at least that's what I feel right now.
Okay, thank you. Jyoti, you want to go on this? Yep.
I do want to add something to that. Well said. Totally agree with what you are saying, Madhu. I just want to add that one of the founders, or the founder of Southwest Airlines, his name was Herb Kelleher, and he put it in a great way. He said, if you don't change, you die. And that applies to any field of work. Who's doing punch cards today? Raise your hand. There you go. All right, the industry is changing and we have to adapt to that. Adapting to things, new things, is human nature. We can do it.
Yep, and there is no sugarcoating that. Kavita, coming to you.
Yeah, no, very well said, Jyoti and Madhu. So I will give philosophical answer and probably job-wise answer. But philosophical answer is, see, Darwin's theory has been there for ages and ages. And what you just said is what he has said, right? That it's not the strongest or not the most intelligent species that survive, right? It's the one which is most adaptable, is survived the longest, right? I think we have seen in human evolution, right? From so many times, we had industry revolution, right? We said that, oh, industry revolution is coming, people will not have job, right? People learned the skill, now it's machines and humans are working together, right? From a manufacturing era. Then we had internet era. Then we had automation era, right? And now we are landing into this AI era. So I think message is same, that we have to coexist, we have to adapt, we have to learn to be fit in this particular world, right? But what jobs will go away, I think that's a hard fact. Something which is repetitive in nature, something which requires a very low cognitive capability, right? Those are the jobs which will definitely go away. Manual testing, I think, no surprise, that's not going to exist. PMO roles who are doing PPTs, RFP works, right? Those kind of a heavy communication work will not exist. AI does it beautifully, more than what human can do it. What will evolve? I think if we talk from a quality engineering perspective, it is SDET working with AI, orchestrating the process. And we saw a lot of example today, right? From an industry and startup perspective. It's a sprawling startup era, right? Wherein people are making product. They're creating jobs. Those are additional jobs being created, right?
Yep.
So these are the jobs that will evolve and get created. So adaptability is the only way to sustain. There would be new jobs that would be coming. So many models are coming into picture. So many products are coming into picture. So testing the bias of the model, right? So you need to learn those things. Those are the new jobs being created. AI governance, that's not going to go away. Context engineering, AI is nothing without giving a good context, right? People having a domain knowledge, people having a testing knowledge can actually greatly help in those jobs for creating a good context for product to work well. So there are many new jobs coming up, whereas there are low cognitive jobs that will go away.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Jit, were you? Okay. Oh, by the way, I heard the buzzer going. We had the timer vanish a few minutes ago, so we were kind of running blind. So I think I have only two questions left.
Just to add to the point.
Yes, Jit, please.
Just to add to the point, I think this is actually, I come from the optimal side of the world, most optimistic view on this. If you are passionate about technology and you are curious about solving business problem, I think you're in the best time in the world. But if you accidentally ended up coming into this field and somehow managing and narrating and aggregation you're doing, probably you should worry and go back. I'll make it very simple. You are passionate about technology, you're curious about solving business problem, you have bright future and more future. Every day people are actually bombarding more TPUs, and even now Google is talking about Project Suncatcher. God knows which space we're going to build what. All these things make actually technology and more testing, more assurances, more. But if you don't get out of it in your own comfort zone, I think this is a difficult time for any of us.
Thank you, Jit, for that insightful response. I'll just quote a data point just to conclude this particular question. So BCG, I was watching an interview of Rajiv Gupta, the MD of BCG recently. So they did a study in collaboration with Niti Aayog of India. And the study was the impact of AI on jobs in India. And the result of that study was now there are 8 million tech jobs in India. 1.5 million of those tech jobs are going to disappear because of AI. That's the bad news. The good news is there are 4 million new jobs that are going to be created, and those are going to be hyper specialized. So if you take the net, we'll be somewhere 10 plus million when it comes to the number of jobs. But then again, it's not that simple. It's a little nuanced, and that 4 million new job creation is not default, it is a choice. It is the result of the choices that we make today that is going to result in those jobs. Now, that is a broader perspective from which BCG was looking at this. Maybe the government has to do certain things, enterprises have to do certain things, professionals have to do certain things, but this is what is expected going into the future. And according to Madhu, that human in the loop thing, according to the recently released World Quality Report, they have coined a term called collaborative intelligence, CI. So it's a form of intelligence which includes both the artificial and the human. And Korn Ferry, again, just a small little data point, Korn Ferry, one of the most popular sourcing firms in the world, they are saying 2026 is going to be the year of the human-AI power couple. So we see this collaboration happening across industries between human and AI, and that's very encouraging to see. I'll move on to the second last question of this panel, and this question is for Jyoti again. Looking into the future from your cockpit, Jyoti, airlines operate in one of the most unforgiving industries. You don't have a lot of margins for error. Safety is no accident. It is an airline idiom. Because safety is the result of a lot of conscious effort and judgment. And now there is a new animal called AI in the picture. AI comes with its inherent risks. It is also unlocking a lot of new possibilities. So from your vantage point, Jyoti, of being in the airlines industry for so long and spearheading the technology side of things for one of the world's largest airlines, what do you see, or where do you see the biggest opportunities when it comes to AI in your industry?
Yeah, AI in aviation industry. So I'm going to give you an example of something within my domain of the technical operations. I don't know how many people in the audience have taken a flight and have experienced delays while sitting on the ramp. The pilot announces we have detected a mechanical failure or some maintenance is required, and so we are going to be delayed. And that delay could be 30 minutes, it could be 2 hours, or cancellation of the flight because we can't get another plane here in time. If that's happened to you, then here's the good news. The good news is that the AI capabilities are unlocking ways to do predictive maintenance. What is predictive maintenance? Well, in this scenario where you are sitting on the ramp and all of a sudden something has happened to one of the parts, whether it's a leaky coffee pot or something wrong with one of the engines and it's going to require maintenance, what if all that data, historical data, was available to us and we could run some sort of an AI stuff on it and say, you know what? This engine has had trouble so many times, so let's go change a part or let's go do whatever it's required so that this aircraft does not sit on the ramp. So predictive maintenance is a very good example of that, and that's something what's in the works right now. And there are many examples of it, other examples as well.
Yep. So the question in another way would have been, if AI is the new co-pilot, pun intended, where should it actually sit in the cockpit and where should it not? I think you have answered it beautifully. Again, Jyoti, thank you so much. I have one last question. We'll end the panel discussion with that, but I would like to throw it open to the audience first. Let's have a 10 to 15 minute. Do we have the time? 15? Let's start with 10. Let's have a 10-minute Q&A, audience Q&A. Please feel free to ask your question. Just a small request. When you do that, please stand up. Please say your name. Please say the name of your company and say the question. And if it is directed to a specific member of the panel, please also mention that. May I request our mic volunteers to please.
Hi. Good evening. Good evening, all. This is Subramaniam from Mastec. I have one question to Shiva Kumar. There are many fraudulent transactions happening in India, and many people are affected, actually. Okay? Is NPCI or the products which you are working, are you doing anything towards that using AI? Thanks.
So, thanks for that question. Actually, I'll not call that as AI right away. It is fraud detection. And NPCI had adopted fraud detection model, which was a complete in-house trained model. So it was more of machine learning than artificial intelligence. Because all these payment systems, right? Let's take the case of UPI. UPI is actually very unique. It is patented. And a net total of 5 engines do a risk score based upon static rules first. So there are 4 banks. If you're sending money from one person to a given merchant, there are totally 4 banks coming into picture, and then there is NPCI's engine coming into the play. Every bank does a fraud check at their end, and so does NPCI. All right. So there is a risk score getting calculated online by 5 different entities. Now, what typically NPCI did was, over a period of time, because we have been seeing the transactions at volume, at scale, and various, we have both P2P as in person to person as well as person to merchant, right? So the intelligence layer that NPCI has already built in has been massive. And by the way, if you actually look at UPI, try to look at it with a slightly different lens. It is IMPS on steroids with a mobile phone number getting mapped. Otherwise, in the background, it's like a Lego block, isn't it? So fundamentally, the risk scores of all the products of NPCI are actually shared. And hence, there has been a single system called as Enterprise Risk and Fraud Mitigation Service, which is shared by multiple products of NPCI. And that particular scores have been generated, risk profiles for every online transaction that is happening. Now, I'll quickly try to address the ongoing fraud that is still happening. Look, in terms of fraud, there are 2 types of fraud. One is a systematic fraud, or in other words, a technical one, where they are gaming the system. The other one is a social engineering technique. If we happen to see carefully and do the analysis over a period of time, by increasing the awareness, you must have definitely, how many of you have not watched a movie in a theater in the recent times? Not watched a movie? Okay, in the last 3 years? 4 years? Okay, great. So RBI, not just NPCI, Reserve Bank of India, Government of India as well as NPCI have been spreading a lot of awareness. They've been engaging a lot of celebrities, influencers, in order to bring in awareness to people that UPI pin देना मतलब बटुआ देना है. आपका पिन कृपया किसी और को मत बताइएगा. मी पिन ఎవరికి చెప్పొద్దు. I can do it in multiple languages if you want me to. I can run an ad campaign right away. But yes, awareness is the key. Financial digital literacy is the one which has to beat in. If AI can help, most welcome. I have started my journey. Come join in. I am also building something. Let's build something.
Sir,
here.
one additional question to it, sir. Are you also checking the pattern of spending pattern of a person?
Answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I have a question. Yes, this question is to Jyoti Rai ma'am. So recently we heard in news.
May I request you to please tell your name and the
hi.
company that you come
Yes,
from?
my name is Bala. I lead Salesforce engineering practice at Carrier. So my question is to Jyoti Rai ma'am. So we have been hearing like Southwest Airlines is setting up its GCC in Hyderabad. So if we see a lot of product companies earlier, they had a separate quality engineering function which functioned as a COE. But now with GCC trends, I think quality engineering is getting clubbed into engineering practices considering cost and the scarcity, not to say scarcity, but the requirement of quality engineering has come down. So what is the plan for Southwest Airlines GCC? Like how you look this quality as a separate function or embedded into engineering, and how you think it will add value addition to your capability center?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Earlier when I said we made a little buzz, and that was the buzz, we are setting up GCC. The work has begun, and it's not going to take off until 2026 because we are toward the end of the year. So there is a lot to be seen as to what shape and form this happens, how quickly we grow here in the GCC. But to address your question, is quality engineering as a COE, as a separate team, or is it built into the engineering practices? So when I talked about, hey, the enablement of the people, the empowerment of the people, when we formed these teams, we wanted these self-sufficient teams, which means that starting from the development to the security to the quality doesn't mean we don't need quality people. We need quality people, but we need those enabled, those empowered team, so that when the team says we are done, we are actually done, and it's not a handoff to a separate organization. Anytime you have handoffs, you're looking at bottlenecks, you are looking at extending your timeline. So does quality go away? No. The need for quality is even more than before, because what is at risk here? The risk is safety, compliance, you all talked about that, reliability. Those are high stakes, and we can't sacrifice not having quality built in. So in my organization, we have created those self-sufficient teams that go from development, security built in, infrastructure as service. Let's go get infrastructure, let's go develop code, let's go make sure that the quality is good, and when you click the button to deploy, that security is checked. That's part of the pipeline before the code is deployed. But we are avoiding those handoffs.
Hi, hello. Sir, this is Srini Vaddapelli from HFS. This question is for Madhu Murty, sir. Sir, you mentioned that enterprises are asking for less of FTEs or time and material than any innovative models, right? So I want to understand from you as IT services companies, how are you changing those terms, not FTEs, but how are you changing those commercial models? That is one question. And the other question that I have for Jyoti is that you mentioned that the mainframes completely is moved to modernize, right? So could you please double click on the technology debt, how the latest technologies or the modernized technologies you've leveraged to move away from the legacy? Thank you.
Yes, actually the time and material kind of models have not changed, but actually nowadays whenever a RFP process starts, so the first step the customers are asking, do you have AI? Actually, first let us evaluate what AI your team can use, then only you will participate in the RFP process. So that change we are seeing already. Everyone is asking, will you provide an AI-assisted service or the world, only people will do the work? So that change already is happening. Now to respond to that as a RFP response, so we actually are creating some outcome-based models. So there will be a pod, human pod, with a tool. So the tool will have few agents. So while doing that, so we are giving some cost benefit to the customer, because we have to, earlier it was 10 people, humans will do a project. Now it is 4 experts and assisted by a good tool. So generally customers are expecting the price must come down. Yes, we have to give it. Then outcomes they're asking. So based on this team, what outcomes I will get, and that is where actually still discussions are happening. The models have not yet fully changed, but all these conversations are happening. But there is a huge pressure from customers to change the model and give some benefit to them. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that I understand the question. Is the question, would you mind repeating your question? Is the question around modernization of the legacy systems and
Yes.
how that was accomplished?
Yes, Jyoti. So maybe double click on the technology part, because you already mentioned that you have created the foundation with the people, right, experts. In addition to that, what else in the technology area that you have implemented which actually accelerated that modernization?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for repeating that. So as we created our modernization roadmap, one of the things that we focused on is that we are not just lifting and shifting our applications. These applications were created over a period of time, and so the needs have changed. What may be 2 applications need to become 1, or maybe 1 application need to become several. So we focused on the business capabilities rather than the applications itself, and created a modernization roadmap for that. So that was a strategy that we defined as part of our roadmap. And to accelerate our modernization efforts, obviously we were going to adopt cloud, first of all, because you can provision the infrastructure in no time and utilize things, tools and things like that, that are not readily available otherwise, right? So we adopted AWS platform, and using that platform, we have invested in AI, their AI products, specifically Amazon Q, and also GitLab Duo, and that has really helped us speed up development quite a bit. One of the things that we put our foot down on is we are going to create automated CI/CD pipelines. Quality is not going to be a secondary citizen, a second level citizen. It's going to be part of development. So everything is done through those automated CI/CD pipelines. And again, people might think that's going to slow you down, but it actually helps you speed up development, because once you get it right, you're not fighting the fires again, and you're focusing on the next thing. So those are some of the things that we are utilizing. There's many more, but those are some key ones.
I have a next question. Yeah, it's for Shiva.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Vani. First of all, thank you for simplifying our lives. I no longer carry a wallet, and it feels safe and easier to walk around without cash. Now, my question to you is, with the payment systems, there are newer forms of financial services coming into the picture, right? Something like buy now, pay later, robo-advisors, alternative credit scoring, online lending, so on and so forth. Now with AI in the picture, we know that customer experiences are better, digital payments and transactions are faster. But AI also has problems like fairness, bias, and discriminatory outputs. In a country like India, how realistic it is to depend on AI to build financial products and build more inclusive financial products for equitable access?
So if I were to probably put this in a single line, you're saying how fair or how safe is it to use AI to develop payment products? Well, see, forget about payments, right? Anything and everything, fundamentally there is a protocol. So in payments, there are protocols like ISO 8583 on which all the card networks work, right? So you take any credit card, any debit card, you go to any part of the world, the card works, there's a PIN, the auth is very simple, the flow is very simple, which means there is a protocol. Now, even if you're looking at UPI, UPI is not a product, UPI is not a service, UPI is a protocol, by the way. So unified payments interface, it's an interface, it's a protocol by itself. So the protocol is fundamentally being written by humans. There is no second thought about it. And once a protocol has been finalized and frozen, AI can be used to create the rest of the ecosystem, right? But if we are trying to build an algorithm or a protocol using AI, I think we have to understand the fact that humans invented computers, not the other way around. So yes, I think these are the words of Mark Zuckerberg. He said, we humans, so there was a kind of a note and he said, why is he democratizing AI and why is he releasing this open source models, right? I think Llama comes from Meta, right? So when he released the Llama models, the latest version, or around like 6 to 8 months back, he also put out a nice note. And he said, fundamentally, he wants to democratize AI because he believes that humans are meant to do only two things. One, invent new things. Keep creating, keep inventing. So if you're artistic, yeah, I'm learning how to prepare a coffee now. I'm trying to be a barista as well. So humans, we have to be creative. We have to invent. We have to create new things. And second, build relations. Build human relations. Because we are all stuck in this rat race and doing repetitive tasks, we have forgotten doing these two things. So that's why the number of inventions, patents have come down in the last decade if we look at the numbers, right? So I completely fell for that in a way. And I still stick back to the same statements. Yes, inventions or protocols have to be created by humans. AI adopts it. Human helps AI to accelerate the development. And yeah, the rest of the time, build hobbies, build relations, invest. So yeah, that's a simple way to answer.
Hi everyone. I'm Manohar from Clean Harbors. So first of all, I want to thank QE Conclave to conduct this event because this is my second edition I'm joining here. So I just want to say is like in my first edition on your keynote, Madhu, so we got that we need to work with agents and we want to work with AI so that we can enhance. So that on that note, I went back and I worked with agents. I have created some agents and worked these things. And now QE Conclave 2025, what is the output that we want to take from QE Conclave 2025? What do you want us to take away and work on it to get the things better way? And I have already got from Shiva Kumar the guardrails thing. So I can work on the guardrails next thing. Thank you for that. And what else we can take as a key takeaways from this QE Conclave 2025?
Okay, thank you for asking that. again, looking at Qualizeal, what's happening, from that perspective only I'll answer. So if you are a QE professional at this time, the packaged applications and the knowledge of them, a Workday or a ServiceNow or SAP, Salesforce, that knowledge of the business process, complexity of that inside them, and ability to test. Those skills will always be required. It's not going to go away. Now on top of them, co-pilots will be built to assist whoever is using a FICO, a finance person is using a FICO module. There will be a co-pilot that will come which is AI based. So that is why whatever knowledge you gained so far on the domain, on the packaged application intricacies, you must sharpen them, because the world's enterprise is built on top of these things only, so nothing is going to go away. So like even somebody was telling manual testing is gone. No, actually testing a Workday application in a complex enterprise implementation, it is not at all an easy task. Humans are needed. Experts in Workday, expert human judgment is needed. So sharpen those skills. That is very, very important. Now, to be more efficient, to be more productive, AI is a great tool. I use a lot. Okay, I help my teams also. I think this prompt engineering is a good skill. It's not just chatting with a GenAI, but really intelligently articulating and and tweak it in a very good way. Great responses will come. I think that skill everyone will have to develop. Use AI and keep up all the domain knowledge that you have. And again, this automation, performance engineering, those skills will be there. But in my opinion, automation only will be in danger, because if you are a good automation expert, there are many tools to help you to write decent code, so people will be more productive. I think high quality, thinking based, functional testing for a really complex enterprise situations, AI will not do easily. Human experts are needed. So please keep continuing that.
Hello, Prashant here. Yeah, maybe it's the last question, but thank you for giving this opportunity, and thank you Collegial for arranging this. This is wonderful, and thank you for all the panels for taking us through your journey. Just a very simple question to Shiva, right? You mentioned that, okay, we have to build something that is boring, right? So just give us, everyone, right? Everyone, each of the panel guests, plus just give us a boring habit that we should develop to prepare for this AI first future. That's a simple question.
I can go back to your basics. Keep brushing your concepts. How many of you remember the first 20 elements of periodic table here? Haheli, Nofnena, Megalsips, Kla, Is that how it goes? Yes. It's time. The time is resetting. Go back to your basics. Go back to that whiteboard. Brush your basics. Because I'll tell you what, still AI hallucinates a lot. And if you used Grok code fast, it will say it has done the code. But have a habit of going and manually checking the code. It creates a load of no-op in Golang and says it has done the job. Third thing, the fundamental unit test cases, continue to write them by yourself. Don't use AI. Let the functional testing, those things, yeah, let it go. Last but not the least, when I started adopting AI, I have started creating an agents.md file in a markdown format, and I have listed down the top 10 performance coding principles, then the top 10 security coding principles, and then I have certain OCDs when I write my code. I have a bad habit of leaving a lot of comments, references, documentation, Swagger, if it is a REST API, so on and so forth. I mentioned all of them. There are certain kind of good habits, bad habits that come into this practice. So keep a habit of going back to that, improvising it, learning it, and again, basics. If we are not going back to basics, yeah, come join me. I'm anyways learning coffee. Let's do it together and learn it. But yes, this is my 2 cents here.
Thank you very much.
I believe we are at the end of the discussion, Melanie. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so we'll end it now. It was a very engaging session, very thoughtful questions towards the end. We had an eclectic panel here representing many different industries with years and years of experience. So whatever we learned from them in the span of 30 to 40 minutes is distilled wisdom from years of experience. So I would like to thank the esteemed panel for their presence here today. And I would like to thank everyone who is present in this room. You have been a lovely audience.